Hello, tubers and tubettes. My name is David, and I live in California, Northern California, and I love it. And today, what I'm going to talk about is Nana Karobi ya Oki. Nana Karobi ya Oki. That's a Japanese saying, and I'm half Japanese. I'm what you call Hapa, so I'm half Japanese. My mother was full Japanese, and she would sometimes tell me these sayings, but not in Japanese. She would tell it to me in English. And a lot of times it left me very bewildered because I didn't get the context of what she was trying to say. But now that I'm older and I'm actually looking at Japanese and kind of studying it and stuff, it makes a lot more sense to me. So what that saying means is it means that fail 7 times and stand up on the 8th time. And I think that is kind of interesting because when we talk about people trying to quit cigarettes, they usually say it's like the 7th time. You have to quit 7 times, Dieting, same thing. There's a certain amount of time. What you're trying to do is you're trying to instill in them the importance of resilience. They have to be resilient. And getting back up after a setback is probably the most important thing that a person can do. It reminds me of a baseball analogy that they use for motivation. And they talk about in the game of life. It's like a baseball game. But in a baseball game, you know that after 3 strikes, you're out. They'll call you out. And your time at the home plate is over. But in the game of life, nobody can really call you out. The only time that you can be called out is when you just refuse to try to strike the ball. So once you go past your 3rd strike, you can continue standing there and you can try something new. Maybe a new business, maybe another job, something to make yourself successful. And nobody can call you out. They can't say, okay, that's it. You can't try anymore. And most of the guys that have had a lot of success, it's actually been common that they have a lot of failures. I mean, one thing that comes up to mind right away is Thomas Edison. When he was trying to develop the light bulb, it was actually very, very difficult to get electricity to produce light, in a long-term way to do it. They could get it to light up, and they tried different materials, but as soon as they hooked it up to electricity, the material would actually burn up. I remember they were using one that was tungsten steel, and they were trying to figure out, how can we get this thing not to burn up? It just wants to burn up. Well, you've got to cut the source of oxygen off to it. And so they came up with the idea of a light bulb. It still wasn't enough. It would still burn itself up. So then they came up with the idea of vacuuming the air out of that light bulb. And that's really what led to the discovery of a light bulb. He had already discovered electricity. And even though he was thinking direct current and Tesla was thinking alternating current, he eventually won out because, alternating current ended up winning out. But direct current is still used in ships and stuff. So there's certain applications that they use it in. But it was the light bulb. And there was a reporter that came up to him and said, before he figured it all out, well, how does it feel to have tried it 2,000 different times and become a failure? And all of them were failures. And he goes, I don't consider myself or these things as a failure, but I have shown 2,000 ways that it cannot be done. And sometimes that's when you have the happy accidents, when you try something and then you get a different result. So it wasn't until they vacuumed the air out of that glass tube that he was able to create, the first light bulb. So again, that took 2,000 times, not 3 times up at the bat. So as long as you keep trying, you're you're gonna make it. And there have been times, years, where I just couldn't sell a pool. I mean, no matter what, you just have those things where you just can't sell a pool. So then sometimes I'll flip the argument on myself, and I'll say something like, in my mind, or on my goals, I'm gonna see how long I can go without selling a pool. And I'm actually gonna make that the new goal. How long can I go without selling a pool? And sure enough, it's usually 2 or 3 times after that, I end up selling a pool. I ruined my record of the longest stretch of not selling one, but it's just mostly because I mentally turned it on itself. And that's how you have to look at it. So the Japanese have that saying, that you try for 7 times and then stand up on the 8th time. You fall 7 times, stand up on the 8th time. And I think that's an important thing for all of us to remember. It's the lesson of resilience and just not stopping. And I remember when I was building one of the Batmobiles, I came up with a design, and I actually wrote it all out and put little angles in it. It's pretty cool. Maybe I'll try to load that onto this video. But it was a poster that I created, and the wording under the poster, it was Tribute Rumbler, but the wording under the poster was to build it or die trying. Because it's just a big money pit. I just keep putting money into it and had to do things over and had to fix it this way. And one of the things that's really hard for me is I am kind of a perfectionist, almost like anal, I guess they would call it. And I just want it right. I mean, is there a reason I can't have it right? I just want it right. Some of the things like the front wheels, the actual steel wheels that I had custom fabricated, they worked out great. First time they worked out great. But I remember the rear wheels, which I had to make 4 of them. I had them made down in LA. They did not work out right. The tires were actually too close and they were rubbing against each other. Now, in my application, it probably would not have made that much of a difference because I'm not driving it around every day. But I needed to separate those tires by at least 1 inch. That meant I had to make another set of rims, which I did. And the other set of rims that I built had to have that separation. So when the tires were put on, the tires were inflated, tires were on the vehicle. You're letting the vehicle carry the weight, or you're letting the tires carry the weight of the vehicle so they expand. And it still had to get a minimum of 1 inch clearance between the two. So it was an expensive mistake to make, but now I know that it's perfect. And I didn't have to do it 7 times, thank God. I ran into a guy who was really good with wheels, and we sat there and we kind of calculated it all out. I remember I even tried to order him, and the guy at the other end, he was like, I don't even understand what you're doing, because I'm trying to talk to him without having the trade words that you use, offset, backspacing, lug pattern, all these different things, thickness of the mounting plate. So I went to an old timer. I think he's recently died, and he did the talking over the phone. I bought it through him, and I know he made a little money on me. That's fine, because he was able to talk to him exactly like this guy was able to understand it. And I did get my wheels, and it was just, resilience, and I wasn't going to quit. So when you're looking at savings, you're looking at getting a job, when you're looking at staying in a relationship, it's not enough to say, I tried a couple times, it's just not going to work out with her. You might get to that point pretty quick, but it's the thing, the knowledge, the feeling that I'm not ever going to stop trying. So I think that's what's really important, is to really focus on that and have that in your mindset. I know a lot of times in relationships, especially with my wife, I've always kind of thought of it in my mind that there's things about myself I don't like, things about myself I wish I could change, but they're not changeable. And so I think that's how it is in a relationship. There's things I wish were different maybe with my wife, things I wish I could change, but I can't. And so now we have to go into acceptance and, tolerate. And resilience is a big part of that. Until you get 7 times, you might want to try to stick with it. The worst thing is regret, that you didn't stick with an idea long enough. I remember talking to a guy who was an old timer, and he was telling me that he had seen so many people over his lifetime that were really good at, say, real estate or building or development or, accounting. And he just felt that a lot of these people, they just gave up way, way, way too early. They're like, I don't like this. So they just got up and they traded it in for something else. And he was a builder, a custom home builder. And he had mistakes that he made. I'm pretty sure he's not around anymore. But it was the first job that I got when I was actually still in college. And I remember he had that thing about, just sticking with it, and eventually it will all pay out. And I'm a good example of that with the business that I've been in. I've been doing it for over 40 years. And now it seems like I was really smart in picking this, many, many, many years ago. It wasn't smart. A lot of it was luck, and a lot of it was not quitting. So things outside of your ability to take care of things, you can't worry about that. Just worry about the resilience that you're gonna find and you're gonna feel. And just remember, you can fall 7 times, but stand up on the 8th time. Thank you very much. Appreciate your time. Have a great day.